Welcome back to the Amazon European Masters, where Ultra League of AGO Rogue is up 2-0. And they do it in another pretty clean victory, and they are on the verge of advancing to the semifinals. And Jamada, I gotta state, your prediction is looking quite dire right now.
I said it could maybe go 5 games. My actual prediction was 3-1. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I predicted 3-2. Yeah, let's not even hold any punches. I think when push came to shove in that game, Bifrost just got dismantled, right? I think the early game was definitely a much better look for Bifrost, and I think that's the important thing. They actually decided to try and attack the mid lane with a more sort of Cboi giving up camps fashion, but it just didn't end up working at the end of the day.
The thing that worries me the most is the fact that we had this draft in game 1, but then coming into game 2, it's a totally different draft, and it still looks completely lost.
We play with different champions. We have seen 10 different champions in total, and the problem is that actually Bifrost, I think, in this draft on red side, they actually attacked what AGO Rogue wanted to do. The Lulu pick was huge in terms of when the can be engaged, you can actually go for the polymorph, you have your ulti, and then at the end of it, you even save the Syndra pick, which is amazing against the way that AGO Rogue wants to play it, but they can't execute the team fights like they normally can, and they still lose the game.
And that's the first thing you said, Jamada. Where's the engage?
Yeah, on both sides, actually. There's like relatively limited engage on both sides. When we talk about hard engage, you know, Go Buttons, Nautilus, Leona. So my first thought was, honestly, I think functionally, when you look at what Bifrost had going for them, if they were on top of the objective first, I felt like they could have had a much more successful time. Unfortunately, even when they did have the situations happen, we saw Odie get caught out, or it was just a situation where they would just get funneled into a smaller choke point via, like, you know, beansu wave or something like that, and they just got taken apart. And I feel like the issue really for Bifrost was more they could never find a functional fight where the champions got to, you know, flourish.
And not knowing how this game ends up, I gotta look at the early game. The first blood that comes out from Cboi, we gotta look at that, because this looks like the Bifrost I've seen in groups.
Yeah, and it looks good. I mean, Cboi is playing for his laners. He can set up along with Fury for the Scatter of the Week, try to get that gank off. They repeated it a couple of times. The problem is, they overstay their welcome. They shouldn't be here anymore, and Rogue capitalizes.
Yeah, like, they want to get the wave in, it makes sense, but I think Orcs even made the point on the desk. Just teleport back if you're Fury. You can shove in this wave, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, unfortunately, Cboi, it's just not enough lethal to take down Rabble. He then, you know, he just sees red, he wants blood. It was just a great gravity field there from Nite to ensure that really he was never going to be able to follow up the kill, and he just gets a free second kill for it because of that skill.
I do feel like Bifrost has shown some signs of life, but it doesn't feel like the Bifrost I've seen so far. I mean, we kind of put them as the favorites for today. They were the underdogs the entire tournament, and now I do start to worry for them in a sense.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like worrying, because one of the big things we spoke about coming into the day on the pre-show was, you know, the sort of late stage team fighting. And, you know, I'd always kind of seen Bifrost, especially at this tournament, as kind of like Ultra League Light in terms of their style. They don't really do much typically unless Cboi gets things going in the early game, and then they will start team fight after 25 minutes. Unfortunately, however, AGO Rogue are kind of bringing this style a little bit to them and showing them who's boss when it comes to playing like this.
Yeah, and we have to say, though, AGO Rogue sealed the deal with a 28-minute fight, securing them the Baron. So, Dinah, you wanted to break down the specifics of this fight, because there's a lot of stuff happening.
There's a lot going on. The most important part is this should be Bifrost's comfort zone. This is what the entirety of the NLC casting crew here has been heralding me about. It's like, Bifrost in the mid to late game, they will execute the team fights better than AGO Rogue. And when you look at this play right now, you see where Bifrost is. They have control over the mid lane, and they actually have vision control set up. I can highlight it right here. They have a ward here, and they have a ward here as well. So they're pretty comfortable if they want to play around Dragon. When we roll the clip, exactly that is going to happen as well. Bifrost, they feel comfortable. They think, okay, we have the inside track, we will set up, and we will just go to our prowess, which is team fighting in the mid to late game. So they pull back, and Rogue just takes their time, and they clear out the vision. Now the issue is, Odie doesn't have any summoner up, and we need to look at one player in specific right before Rogue engage here, and that is this player right here. Sinmivak is actually the biggest threat to Bifrost's roster on this moment, because he can easily close a gap if he wants to. And what he's going to do when closing the gap, he's actually engaging on DuaLL, who is out of position. And this puts a lot of pressure on the Bifrost roster when they are pulling back, because now you're a support who is supposed to be the backbone of this team. When the enemy engages, he's supposed to be behind your lines. He was in front and he's chunked out. The second part is, and I hate to do this, but I have to do it, Shikari here, he's primed and ready for the biggest play of his life, alongside with his support. but suddenly the communication breaks down. He's going to Mega Gnar out. He could get the Lulu ulti and actually slap everyone into the wall, but he disengages. And then the fight is already lost, because now you're all chunked out. Rogue, they get into their comfort zone of just chasing you down. Sinmivak jumps over the pillar, but in the end, the important tools, the Mega Gnar and the Lulu, the ulti, the only things that they could use to control the fight, they were burned, but they didn't get anything out of it. And this is sad to see, because this should have been Bifrost, their biggest moment in the game. And in the end, it was Rogue taking it all.
Yeah, and I think ADC Rogue looks very good right now. I mean, the way they've won these games, just look at this gold graph here in this post-game breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when push came to shove, Bifrost got dismantled here, right? Even though the early game went, you know, about as well as you would hope for in a Bifrost sort of setup like this, the team fighting was too much, Nite was too farmed, Sinmivak was too big of a threat in some of those later game team fights. And I mean, what was it? At the very end of the game, Nite just ended up blowing up 3 people.
Yeah, he did like 16.1k damage, and we've talked a lot about Nite, but we also talked about FLICKR, and looking at his performance, I mean, he wasn't really popping off that much necessarily, but I think the way he's been playing his lane, it kind of shows how important this AD carry is for ADC Rogue.
Yeah, and from both you can say they just applied 2 different styles. First, it was FLICKR on the Twitch, having to do most of his team, like actually setting up fights along with the Yuumi, and he did amazingly. Now he was the bridge, he was the gap in the early game on his Lucian, and that also worked out really well. When Odie thought he was comfortable in lane, FLICKR just engaged them and got the kills. Yeah, it wasn't as flashy as a Lucian game can be, but it did both jobs really well. And the beautiful thing is that Nite on the other side then also did his job really well, and it just worked out because now they're 2-0.
And it feels like FLICKR has taken over what Odie was supposed to do on Bifrost's side here. He's stepping up big time. He's showing big damage numbers as well. I'm scared. I think it's going to be 3-0 if I look at this.
Given how they've played, yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I think Bifrost really need to find their groove, whether it's, you know, trying to shut down FLICKR now, whether they want to maybe try and shift focus towards the top side. I think that would be the incorrect call personally. Even Nite, like they have so many things to worry about because Nite just had this pretty big performance as well. There's too many options shut down. I think it's mid-bot. Try and find some kind of agency for yourselves.
Now, we do want to see some change, obviously. We don't want to see a team go down 3-0 again, especially after yesterday. Bifrost has chosen to change some things. They have chosen for the blue side. Do you think we're going to see a first pick jungle? What do you think is going to happen on that?
I actually think what it could open up, and I would maybe like to see a Rogue actually ban it away, is maybe Ahri first pick. I think one of the key things for me is Furuy has looked kind of off so far in this series. He's not really been able to get much of a foothold. Cboi tried to sort of band-aid that, I think, in the early game in this game too, where, you know, you'd see so much focus towards Nite. Didn't really work out. Game 1, he just got abused by the Twitch Yuumi. I think maybe trying to find a foothold there could be, you know, the platform they need to try and build off of Odie.
After getting 2 teams in the quarterfinals, the NLC is on the brink of elimination, actually. I can't make it any prettier than it is. Can Bifrost bring it back with a reverse sweep? Oh, I'm so sorry. If there's time to do that, it's now or never.
It really is now or never for Bifrost. And the NLC got 3-0'd yesterday by LLC, well, the first seed X7, and now a Rogue, the first seed and the last team for the Ultra League, is potentially about to 3-0 them as well. We thought this would be a closer series, but honestly, a Rogue could beat them in early. They have let them scale, and they've still beaten them.
Let me be honest, Rogue has just straight up been the better team so far. Bifrost have not found their footing. First game, a little bit of a wacky draft. Second game, probably what we usually would see from them, but even then, they weren't able to find their footing. Coming into this third game, completely switched it up. They've decided to go for the blue side instead.
Yeah, I feel like this happens so often where it's like, okay, game 1, we know what side we want. Okay, we lost, that's fine. Game 2, we'll run it back, and then game 3, it's like, okay, that side's doomed. Let's switch it up.
And I still can't help but feel like these jungle bans, yes, I understand that maybe you don't want to play against the likes of the Ivern and Rengar composition that we have seen a Rogue build out earlier, but I really love your point as well, Orgs. Like, let it go through in the first game, see if it's actually something that you can punish, and then afterwards adapt in the best of 5. Because now that your back's up against the wall, you're not going to let the pick through. You're not going to be able to adapt with a pick like this all of a sudden.
Well, now they've let the Lydia through, right? You're 2-0 down, and this pick that you were so determined to ban on red side, where I feel like, you know, there's a lot of things you have to ban on red side, you finally let through, and if you lose this game, the whole series is done, you're out of the tournament. I feel like they should have just left it open in game 1 and try to see if they could deal with it. We talked a little bit about the Ahri being something that we can see them prioritize. It is banned away, so Cboi is going to take the job, and an instant answer is that Yuumi once again.
I'm actually really surprised to see that when you see a Jarvan first pick, they're actually not going in for something that can disengage in the support role, you know, the likes of Thresh or something different peeling as well, because you know right now with a Jarvan, you're going to be having a lot of attention down towards that bot side. So with this first pick, we should see Cboi back on something he's more comfortable on as well. He doesn't have to come in and brawl on the likes of Viego as we saw earlier. He doesn't have to be the one counter jungling on the Grace. This is so simple.
Oh.
Skip camps, walk down towards the bot side, make it work. And with champions like this, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Caitlyn locks every time it's about that bot side.
I feel like this is a situation where being a little bit frustrated maybe from that previous game where they were kept in check by FLICKR and beansu on the Nami. Odie and Jewel, like, we're just going to stomp them, okay? That is the game plan. They opted into this blind Yuumi. We're just going to run them down and destroy them. And honestly, I feel like it's a little bit rough for a Go Rogue. Like, they're opting the Ezreal here. It does limit the effectiveness of the Jarvan. And I think that's why they went for that early Yuumi to you know, have that tool against them. But now you're in a situation where you're just going to get blasted in lane.
This is definitely going to be a lane where they just farm plates for the side of Bifrost. This has to be a winning lane for Odie. We've been singing the praises of this bot lane all series long, and it just hasn't come to life at all. We're into the second ban phase, and now we're seeing the Go Rogue ban away the Orianna as a pickup here for Furuy in the mid lane. Curious to see where the attention's going to be, because again, it's a very different draft from what we had in our first couple of games.
And curious to see a Go Rogue on this position as well. Usually, you know, they just blind pick their control mages like the Victor as well. Are you going to be giving up the counter pick for Nite in the mid lane? Are you going to give it to the side of Sinmivak? Because traditionally a Go Rogue, they like having their top lane on a stable that can carry on a side lane later. But for this series, I feel like Nite has just been such a pivotal and big player that you just give the counter pick to him and let him run his show.
Yeah, I think there's two sides because we've seen a lot of mid bans as well.
That's the thing,
if there's
like,
something left open that you're like, we can look to prioritize this, then you could definitely go for it in this situation. It's kind of interesting that we see, you know, mid laners who can sort of contrast that prior quite effectively on a Go Rogue band away. The Corki and Victor for Bifrost, like more scaling oriented picks. But we do see that GP coming in, so I think this is quite strong in terms of it's something that was talked about at the start of the season when we saw Caitlyn Lux be such a prominent lane. It was the GP being able to impact bot despite the fact that you can't TP bot early.
Yeah, exactly. I actually do like this pickup for him as well. It means you can kind of just blind pick that, and like we were saying earlier, give Nite that counter pick in the mid lane, make it as comfortable as possible. Furuy locking in the Azir in the mid lane here. Bit of an interesting blind pick, right?
Honestly, I don't think it's too bad. It allows you to play around with the range as well. You got the range you're playing around with from the Caitlyn and Lux. Now you got the extra coming through from the Azir as well. You don't need to be an engage, which is a Rima shuffle. You can use it for the disengage. Instead, you have a stable frontliner in the top lane. That's probably the biggest surprise to see if that Shogun was going to go through. Sion seems way more stable.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you have something that is just as Bifrost as it can be. We play for bot and mid. We just rotate the pieces around with Odie and Joel, and we just need to get them ahead of the curve so we can just start besieging. We have the range now.
Yeah, I mean, this is just them going back to that front to back that we see them typically love to play, right? You have two super long range carries and then these massive tanks. We're actually seeing the Vel'Koz come in from Nite. And the thing is, one thing that Azir can struggle against is poke, right? And we have so much poke on the side of a Go Rogue between the Ezreal and that Vel'Koz, you can just catch you out.
And that's one of the things. You have artillery mages like the Seraph, like the Vel'Koz. Traditionally speaking, can be used as counters into the control mages. You know, usually the champions that has greater range than most champions, they beat them out. And a champion like Vel'Koz is super good against a champion like Azir. Yes, you just mentioned the poke. If you are half HP with a life form disintegration ray, you can just be completely put in lethal range.
I mean, this is the scary thing about playing into a Go Rogue is they just have so many champions in their arsenal that they can pull out and catch you off guard with. You're not going to expect to be playing into Vel'Koz in Game 3 in this series, but now it's been locked in, and it's a really nice little counter pick like you were saying here.
I think something that's tricky as well is you're relying on the side on the Jarvan to kind of close the gap, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you don't close the gap on this Ezreal Vel'Koz, you're going to have a bad time. Jarvan, not really super effective against Ezreal. You can just arcane shift out the Cataclysm. And on top of that, the Vel'Koz, like, we saw quite a slow game in the previous one. There was a lot of action early, and then it kind of just was like waiting for the neutrals to come up. If Vel'Koz's flash, I don't think you can really gap close effectively. Just flashes out, ults back towards you. Easy pickings.
Well, I see a lot of that range as well coming out from a Go Rogue. But for me, it's more like a question of how do we get to that point where we're comfortable? Because in the bot lane, once again, that's going to be controlled by Odie and Joel. Like Lux and Caitlyn will pretty much 80% of the time get control down towards that bot side of the map. On the top side, you don't have too much to play for. You need the scaling aspect of the GP. They're just going to be slamming each other. We've already seen the matchup one time today. And then it's going to be about this jungle matchup again. Rabble getting himself ahead. Cboi, he's going to be very busy trying to facilitate. Where I can imagine Rabble, he's going to be busy being facilitated himself, trying to go in and take the camps that Cboi is skipping.
Cboi's got Predator on the Jarvan, right?
Yeah, honestly, Jarvan is such an interesting champion because he's been in a position where no rune is really great for him. It's why we've seen the first strike. It's why we see the unseal spellbook, because he is just that a form of engage. So Predator is not all too bad of an option coming through from Cboi.
But what I will say is the reason I really like sort of first strike and spellbook is because they give the inspiration tree, which is fantastic for any jungler. Obviously get the reduced cooldown on Smite, you also get your free boots, whereas the Domination Tree, not quite so hot, I wouldn't say, but still, just very much showing that he knows he has to be very active looking for those early ganks, and I feel like if this game ends up trending towards the late game, as we've seen so far this series, I think I am really confident in a Go Rogue winning it out.
You just watch him go full lethality and just blow up people, then he's ready.
I mean, there is the option for that. Realistically, I don't think that's going to be the build coming out. As both junglers are starting up on the top side of the map, so again, leaning towards playing towards that bot side. This time it's Odie and Jewel who are going to be set up to get that early shove, as you can see here, shoving the lane in, and we're expecting plates. It's going to be plates galore for Odie.
Yeah, and let's take a look at Cboi's jungle pathing as well. Is he going to be skipping any camps at all? So far, he's been clearing his blue buff. He's been on Gromp, and right now he's on the Wolves instead. Question is, are you going to be skipping these Raptors? I can imagine he will just take the red buff, see if he can come down to the bot side on a third wave crash, and see if they can go for a potential dive, but they might even miss the timing.
Interesting enough, right, we have Cboi level 3. Didn't see any like level 2 early ganks you can often get. I feel like that could have been quite effective if you were able to look for it in the mid lane, for example, because that has been such an instrumental piece in this series. The mid lane difference between Nite and Fury. In game 1, I will absolutely say Fury got bullied out, right? A lot of help from the rest of the team to make the matchup go in favor of Nite, but game 2 is just a massive differential. I feel like, as you were highlighting in the draft phase, the fact they gave him the counter pick, picking this Vel'Koz into the Azir, I feel like Fury needs to have a good game if Bifrost want to be successful in this one.
100%. And mid lane priority is just so pivotal as well when you have a champion like Caitlyn and Lux, because if you can move down there and help them stop a siege if you're a Go Rogue with Nite moving first, well, that's going to be great. You slow down the win condition of Bifrost. Cboi, about around the bot lane vicinity, Bifrost, they will be able to push it in just a bit to get that priority. Mid lane has priority, and all he's getting so far really is just a scuttle, but nothing other than that.
But Rabble has to pay respect to this as well, because he knows that these lanes have pressure, and now Cboi is actually moving in. Does have that smite available, same for Rabble. Looks like they're probably just going to give it up. Rabble will be able to get his blue and head back towards his wolves.
But the important here, critically, is the vision secured, right? Especially on the bot side, we can see that he's got a ward a little bit deep in the jungle. He's tracking Rabble. Another ward comes down.
Does spot him out, flags and drags away to safety though, and Cboi's out.
There's no secure support from a Go Rogue, right? He can just dash over the wall. Bot lane is in no position to move, so he steals away the camp, and once more he is just ensuring his team have full information on Rabble. Bot lane want a 2v2. They want no outside input coming in, because that's where the Caitlyn Lux will really excel.
And this is very interesting, because this is usually how a Go Rogue, they win their games, right? They choke out their enemies with their pressure. They go in and counter jungle with Rabble. This time around, it's Cboi who is into counter jungling. It's down towards the bot side where they're just getting plating. They're just getting natural resources on the map that's giving them a 500 gold lead 4 minutes into the game. So great stuff for Bifrost. They don't need the kills in the beginning if they can keep this sort of pressure up, or they can be on the track to all of a sudden just move the pieces around.
Well, able to get these plates obviously down in the bottom side of the map.
2 already.
Yeah, 2 plates already at 4 minutes. We're closing in on 5 minutes. Is really, really big for them. Gonna head back, get a pickaxe, just early power picked up for Odie in lane. Fury as well, still got pressure, and this is unlocking Cboi to play that style, which we just don't see all that much from him, where he plays, more, he's facilitated for right now.
Yeah, but I think something we'll say for Cboi is that he, as a player, is someone with a very facilitative champ. Well, we'll see if they actually find this pick on a Shikari first.
Yeah, they are looking for him here. The bait comes in. Shikari gonna get knocked up. Can head towards his tower. He's going low as the barrels connect, but Shikari is out of there.
So cold, doesn't even expand the flash there. Just literally walks out of it, and then he emotes. Watch out.
Slams a thumbs up, but...
Oh, and stops the recall as well.
and the icing on top. But as we were saying before, Cboi tends to play this facilitator role, and we can kind of see from the picks he has taken, a lot of champions with early impact. The most played are that Volibear and Jarvan, which is why in that game one, when we did see the Graves, it was such a weird one, because, you know, that is that more farm-oriented. This is the sort of playstyle we expect from him. Yes, he's contesting Rabble, but critically he's ensuring his mid and bot can continue to push without being pressured themselves.
And with this, let's have a look at the rotation right now. Fury just pushed in the mid lane, went into Fog of War, Cboi as well down towards that bot side, and that kind of just forces Rabble to respond. He can't go back to clear his jungle. Well, now he's on Grump, but before that, he had to go down and just trying to mitigate any pressure coming out from Bifrost.
And I think this has been the story of this game. We're 6 minutes in, and this is like the second layer of wards that Bifrost have put in that blue side jungle from a Go Rogue. They're constantly making sure that they're spotting out this Zhao and just ensuring that the bot lane could do this. Yeah, it's a 400 gold lead for Odie, but they're just hammering away at this tower.
But it's not just Odie as well, it's the Lux you have to take into account. If she's going for the Luden's air code, the kind of build path as well, she'll be doing a lot of damage, sitting at the 1700 as well. So great stuff from Bifrost. If they deal with the bot side turret and they can move it up towards the top side, all of a sudden, and if you can poke out GP, force him away from resources, you're stopping a lot of the scaling.
Oh! Fury is able to dive away to safety, but a lot of damage coming out from Nite.
Oh, Rabble finally finding a window, though.
Is looking for it. Odie gets the shield off. The cannon barrage is coming in, but Cboi is in the area. Predator popped, and that is going to be enough to send them packing. A nice try from a Go Rogue to just get some breathing room in this bot lane, because it has been rough down here for FLICKR and beansu. But Rabble, he's ignited, and first blood to Odie. They found the binding onto FLICKR as well, but he can shift away.
I don't know what happened there. I can't explain
Well, I'll tell you what happened. Rabble dashed forward, he got CC, and he died.
Yeah, you're correct.
Thank you.
I just don't understand the thought process behind Rabble going for that play. I think he was like, I'm going to stack up my passive and knock them up, but like, Cboi walked round the corner, and I think Rabble was like, oh, he's gone. No, he's still just slightly out of range.
And with resets coming through, I'd like to say that DuaLL has not went for the Luden's Echo. He's gone for them all. Shirelia's kind of build option instead. Oh, Moonstone Renew as well. I can't say I'm a fan, you know. I'm all about that Luden's Echo myself.
I'm going to be honest, especially...
What rune tree?
What, Rune Tree?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you go like Comet, Scorch, and even Cheap Shot as well, that's the real damage Lux. But I think the critical thing here is that the Lux ult can be such a powerful tool. If Nite is forced to stand still with the ultimate, you use ult on top. If you throw the Cataclysm down, it's just like shooting fish in a barrel. So definitely a lot of value coming out from that Lux, as it is such a long-ranged ability. For now, though, we've seen DuaLL move up to the top side. And despite the fact that they had so much pressure bot, they're using that prio to try and lean on the Herald. You can see Odie was walking towards topside just in case there was a contest, but since they see Rabble's not interested, they'll start to move down bot, and ultimately FLICKR doesn't even get a single plate off the back of this.
And I think this might have just been the best early game we've seen from Bifrost this game.
This is a massive improvement from them. They have struggled in all 2 games, and just able to really come back here into this, but it is still early, and you know, I think Bifrost, and I think it's fair to say, have been anything from clean in this series.
Yeah.
Rogue have been playing very, very well, and I think the main thing for me is the cohesiveness of Rogue. Rogue have looked very put together. They look like everything's very clear and with a clear goal, when Bifrost have looked way more scattered. They've come into this game with a great idea of how to play this early game. The question for me now is, can they take this going forward? And my question for you is, what do they do going forward with this comp?
I think they're on the right track record right now, right? It's just about continuously choking out the opponent. You're doing very well right now. You even got the Rift Herald in hand. You don't have to use it down towards the bot side just because of how low the turret already is. As you can see, only 1 plate missing. Like, you don't even have to put your bot lane up towards the top side. You can go mid as well if you want to.
I feel like, you know, getting the pressure down to take the bot tier 1 would absolutely be a good call. Push the wave in deep, then you can swap your bot lane up to top. Or if you find the window to Herald mid, I would love if they could pick up that mid tier 1. I think when you have Kate Lux, who are so threatening, if you can find an opportunity, particularly if you can punish Nite if he overextends, take mid tier 1 and the game completely opens up from there. But Bifrost, they have momentum now, they need to continue it.
I think if you do take that mid as well, it really kind of limits Nite, because he needs that as a safety point, a place to hide behind to be able to clear the waves. Or if he has no tower, he is liable to getting jumped onto. Meanwhile, Sinmivak and Shikari just exchanging grasp stacks, but Shikari quite happy with that trade for himself as well.
But it's also just about how they move around the pressure right now. Every time Odie... Whoa!
Oh!
Nah. Dude, it was a close one. It was a close one. But every time
he was going to jump out and block it, man.
Every time Furuy gets mid lane pressure,
shuffle.
here we go.
Nite's going to get knocked up. He is going down here for sure. Furuy able to get it. A beautiful shuffle back.
And this is exactly what I was talking about. If you can punish Nite, then you can find an easy opportunity to start getting some plates on the mid lane, set up that tower for the future. Rabble is taking this window to look bot.
Oh, he flashes in. He's chasing onto Jaw, but the shielding is so heavy right now. Gets the knock up, and it's on his lonesome. Rabble finds the kill.
But look at mid lane currently. They still have the Rift Herald. Yes, you get one down towards the bot side. But now you might even be open to open up the mid lane as the first turret. And once again, by far the best early game we've seen from the likes of Bifrost. Looks like they won't be able to get it this time, but it's very low to be picked up.
Yeah, and so any opportunity where if Nite gets caught out or if Nite tries to move or there's any isolated moment where Furuy can push up, he'll just be able to take this tower. You can even see Shikari in the top lane has been doing fine in this lane. Yes, Gangplank will look to scale up, but the Sion can actually do a lot of damage to towers with Demolish when he gets the window.
It's 10 plates across the map right now for the side of Bifrost. You can see it reflected in the gold lead. Luden's Echo now finished up for Furuy. Odie hasn't actually been to base, but probably sitting on a fair amount himself with all the plays he's been able to pick up. You can see there, got himself an 8,000 gold lead over FLICKR. This bot lane
8,000!
800.
It's over 8,000!
How
I
many
can't believe
plates
it!
has he got? Did you say 100
10
plates?
plates?
100 plates, man? That's
You know,
crazy.
I was really excited to try cast at you two, and now I am regretting it. I am regretting it.
And that's on Grom. Down towards the bot side now. Odie should be able to crash this wave. Can go for a reset if he wants to, but Cboi's around the area too, so they can just threat for that bot side to it, which would be the first of the game, then go for the reset afterwards, and it looks like he has to play.
No mana.
He has no mana. He's going to get final sparked, going to get ace in the hold, and it's not blocked by beansu. Cboi able to hold them in place long enough for Odie to get the kill.
I mean, just beautiful execution. No mana for FLICKR. Really should be overstaying, but the thought process was if he ever backs, the tower's gone. Well, the tower went anyway, and your life was forfeit. 2-0 now for Odie. 20 CS lead, but all those plates and that first tower gold is the massive thing. Picks up that Gale Force, and we'll see the replay. I'm just going to say, this is the second time we've seen beansu not block the ultimate.
Okay, guys.
You have to pop out.
Guys, he's dead either way. Even if that ace in the hole does not connect, it's still FLICKR stuck in a pit with that amount of ace. Oh, production, you're smurfing. Thank you.
That's how you feel. That's how you feel when your Yuumi doesn't block you. The thing is, even if he's dead anyway,
Yeah,
at least then it's not Odie getting the kill.
that's true. Fair point. Fair point. You know what? I'll settle down.
Well, as the turret plates do almost fall off, it is a 4,000 gold lead over to the side of Bifrost, and bunch more plates will, sorry, a bunch more damage will come through as Nite has to flash away. Bifrost don't quite have the minion wave to secure this tower on this wave, so no more plates on those
Jarvan just does nothing to towers. He's just tickling it.
Oh, Lifeform disintegration rate into the shield. Rabble doesn't quite land. The wind becomes lightning.
Cboi has flash and stopwatch. There's no way you're killing him there, so it's back away. They're not able to get that final plate, but now with the plates gone, you could honestly just walk up the tower and auto it without minions to go down. So mid-tier 1, essentially in my mind, it's already gone. It's just going to be an easy pickup. And Bifrost are doing a good job of maintaining this pressure. And I think it's just a resurgence, right? Game 1 and 2 were definitely rough, but Game 3, they went, right, we're going to take agency in the early game. We already play so heavily towards a bot. We're going to do it times 10. And I feel like this is a good game to bounce back on. One where you are in control. You're dictating the pace.
It's just momentum, really. Like, you've been down 0-2 already. You're down to the final game. You need something to go good for. You need something that raises the spirits and communication as well. So having your star bot lane, DuaLL Odie, finally take over game.
You need to have fun. And this is a lot more fun for Odie and Jewel right now. They're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, having an absolutely amazing game for themselves as well. And I think they kind of, it's recognizing that the attention in the picks and bans was on Cboi. There was a lot of jungle bans coming out across this series, and they go, well, this means bot lane is fairly open for us to get creative with. And if we see Bifrost win this game, I don't question how Picks and Bans looks going into that game 4.
This was also the first game in the series where they were able to pick up the Rift Herald, and finally getting that Rift Herald to open up the mid lane, get map control. Like, just fast forward, or not fast forward, go back to the game we had just before. 22 minutes was what it took to open up the first mid lane turret. This time around, it's done way quicker, and when you have champions like Azir and Caitlyn, you can just move around the map to start the sieging. It's way easier for Bifrost to pilot. They need the ease of execution, because sometimes the laners are just better from a go rogue.
Oh, they're onto Nite in the final spark. And OD secures it with the ace in the hole.
And this is exactly what Goldberg, you were saying before, right? With Nite, without the mid-tier 1, doesn't have that safety net to push up and clear the wave. You can see him tentatively approaching, his tentacles quivering, and then he gets jumped on by Cboi and just deleted.
It was really, really well executed there onto Nite, recognizing he didn't have flash. Able to find that kill. And Furuy still able to catch these waves for the moment. We're actually seeing Bloodthirster coming in second for OD, so getting closer and closer towards that. The BS sword, the Vamp Scepter in the pocket.
Which is something we've seen a lot from FLICKR, right, is a second option, particularly into poke-heavy compositions, which there is a fair bit of poke here from a Go Rogue, so chunking out OD won't really be an option once he has that Bloodthirster. And the thing is with Caitlyn, you don't need attack speed nearly as much as something like a Jinx, so you can afford to go that build path.
And this time around, sieging the top side should be way more simple as well. They have so much prior to play around with. Rabble engages the duel.
Rabble, he does jump on. The cannon barrage is there, but they're able to find the kill. FLICKR picks it up. Finally getting a little bit of revenge for that bot lane, and OD not feeling comfortable taking that fight on his own, but he's going to step up either way.
And the player's just done one wave too early. You have the luxury of having an open mid lane turret from your enemy. You can just wait for Furuy to push it in, wait for Furuy to be up towards that top side, while at Nite, he's just taking care of the mid lane wave. But you step in one wave too early, you get caught, and you fight a Go Rogue on even footing. Not something you want to do when you're the team that's ahead.
I feel like this is something that DuaLL has made this mistake a couple of times in the group stages, where he doesn't sync up with Cboi, he's going a bit too soon, gets picked off, and I think particularly when you're playing Lux, you have to be so cautious on this pick. If you go too far, if you step too far forward, you'll just get deleted. Do you see he's actually gone for the Imperial Mandate, so not quite the Ludens in terms of damage, but still offers a fair bit on a low econ.
Yeah, I like that pickup actually, in a way, but I think Ludens is so fun on that sense, but Shikari and Sinmivak just trading off here. I don't think anybody's going down.
Well, I think the thing with Mandate is you proc on your E and Q, obviously very easily, but your ult doesn't slow, so no way to proc it on that. And often your ult is the most useful tool when you're connecting from a long distance. You're not always going to be in range for everything else.
Too early. Too early on the shield, on the snare, sorry.
Shield the enemy. Take care. I hope you're okay, buddy.
He shielded them from death by missing his Q.
100%. Rift Herald will be used on towards the top side, so not the best usage of the second Rift Herald, but you can see Bifrost, they did want to use it earlier when they had that play where they got caught off guard, because they died, they lost out on the tempo, and they had to go for kind of just like a bandage hit Herald instead.
I would argue this game, though, they don't need a Band-Aid Herald. You know, even if they didn't get it in the most optimal use, they've already taken 3 towers. They've already got, you know, a 3,000 gold lead. And they've got Shikari charging in for Nite. Nite does have flash. He's going to flag and drag away as Rabble comes in. Great stopwatch by Cboi. He's caught out for the moment. Comes in with a dunk, gets popped back out to safety. And nobody's dying in the mid lane.
Well, the Summoner's Burn, though, you can see the play here. I mean, they burn the flash from Nite. I think that's a critical thing. It's a minute 15 until that next dragon. If Cboi gets his ultimate up available again, he can just essentially go, I'm going to jump on Nite and take him out. I will say, if a Go Rogue want to contest this next dragon, I think Nite needs to grab a stopwatch. But honestly, it'd only be the second for Bifrost. I think they can honestly let it go. I don't think it's too much of an issue. But they do need to pick up the dragon for Bifrost and start to continue the momentum. Getting the Hextech Soul would be massive. And you said before, Jake, about how, you know, they have this structural advantage in the early game. It gets a lot harder taking tier 2s.
100%, but rolling this soul as well, probably the best one you can get for the likes of Azir. Getting attack speed and ability haste, great for a champion like that. So that's all about that. Sieging up with the Q poke, auto-attacking you down. The same for Caitlyn as well. So really just a really good role here, but it's going to be some time before they get to that soul. And there's the scaling aspect from a Go Rogue. Their win condition right now is slowing down the pace. It's easy for a team with a composition like Bifrost has right now to take care of the Ida turrets, but the skill comes in taking down the tier 2 turrets.
So what is that like threshold where a Go Rogue do feel like they're back in this game?
I feel like we're still looking at 2 to 3 items on GB here coming through as well for Nite. FLICKR.
Furuy actually held that, didn't go in, waited for the shift back, and now Rabble's in the area, but that's a lot of soldiers forward as well to send Rabble packing.
Well, a poke in return, but we do not have the Cataclysm coming up for Cboi. The tower gets put down mid, no flight, no flash for Nite, and he didn't pick up a stopwatch, so I don't think they contest this dragon. You can see from the position they're not going to go for it. It's just going to be that second for Bifrost instead. Sinmivak's going to pick up that tower on the top side. Gangplank obviously getting gold will be a massive factor. Oh, Shikari, you shouldn't be there.
Yeah, Shikari definitely overstaying a little bit, goes for the ult, and it just knocks up Rabble for a brief moment. Gets interrupted on his Q charge. No flash for Shikari, no backup coming in. And it's just the slow burn. Shikari goes down. Rabble's on Grump, and Shikari just going to watch it happen.
Anyway, still getting pushed in on top side as well. Rabble can shadow as well if he wants to at the same time, but they're just going to go for a quick reset here instead. Poke, half HP on LFLICKR, and mid lane Pride goes back to Bifrost. But because their top laner has just died and Cboi is down towards the bot side pushing that in, they can't really use the pressure for anything. It's just going to be resets coming through for Bifrost now.
And what I don't want to see from Bifrost is them just sitting and waiting for the neutrals to come up and playing around those.
Yeah.
I think it's such a slow way to play. You have this advantage, you should use it. What they should be looking to do is you slow stack a wave in the side lane, you push up mid aggressively, contest the mid wave. If anyone shows, you can engage on them, and then you rotate through the enemy jungle, clear out the vision, attack anyone who shows up, and then you move up to that side lane when that wave comes to crash in. That's how a team who's ahead should look to play out.
Let's draw that play right here. So we highlight up the big turret here. You actually want to push in the mid lane turret coming through. You want Fury to stack up the wave here. And then it's all about finding the vision control in the enemy jungle to pick up a lot of this gold. That's the kind of play that we're expecting to come through from the side of Bifrost. But
and they've kind of messed up the timing here, right? Because they had that push earlier, and now the wave's already coming in top. They're desynced, and they've messed up, which gives this window.
They are looking for Fury. Cboi's in the area. Fury able to drag away, and they've got a teleport coming down as well. So it's the full collapse here from Bifrost as LFLICKR acing the hole into the final spark. The flash comes out. The dunk is there, but underneath the tower, Cboi has no backup. And the Go Rogue are able to find a return kill from Rabble.
And it just goes back to what Ors was talking about. They're desynced. Odie and Joel, they're not actually in the vicinity to commit to a fight like that. The mid lane play and the top lane play, the wave, they're just not synced up. And it's been a weakness for a very long time for Bifrost is that not only linking their members, but also finding that cohesion and setting up these rotations. They can be great at team fighting, but sometimes with the macro aspect, they'll falter a little bit.
Yeah, and then as a result of that play, they end up burning the TP, committing that to it to try and capitalize on a Go Rogue pushing forwards. But you know, the problem is in the world that we set up for this, and the play we wanted to see, they would all already be there. But here, you get the TP coming in, the bot lane are too far away, and there's enough tools available for a Go Rogue that they can actually escape under the tower. Cboi has to overextend so hard just to try and contest the kill. And while all of this is happening, the Gangplank's pushing in the side, taking towers. It's just an absolute win on all fronts for the side of a Go Rogue.
Yeah, usually when we have a situation like we have right now with Bifrost ahead, the win condition for a Go Rogue is setting up vision pockets to find ways to fight back. But if Bifrost is messing up their timing like this and Sinmivak is just allowed to stay in the site and get resources for himself, well, then they can just sit around, do nothing, and they'll automatically get back into the game. Like, the gold deficit has lessened so much over the span of these 5 minutes.
And I feel like this is a point where Bifrost go, okay, we can't really work out how to use our sides well. Let's just start Baron and see how that goes.
Yeah, this could be a really, really risky position for them. But I'm going to recognize that and back away. Nite obviously having that life form disintegration rate in that pit is just, I think you said it earlier, shooting fish in a barrel. Rabble getting jumped onto, the final spark comes out, and Shikari hits the wall. So cancels his own ultimate early, and Yuumi just keeping everybody alive. Meanwhile, Sinmivak still bot lane, still pushing, still taking towers.
And look at the goal difference. This was a team who were up by like 4,000 gold, I think it was in this game, and now it's dead even.
And it's also why we say all the time, Bifrost, they need ease of execution, because at Go Rogue, they are just playing this game better. Let's see if Sinmivak can outplay this one, though.
Let's see if they can go for it. Fury's put on the other side, shuffles him back, and Cboi cashes in on the kill.
But look at the cost mid, right? You go for that play, you punish the Gangplank who's overextended, but now you lose your mid tier 1 as well, and it feels like Bifrost are just losing on every front, falling apart across the map. Do you have Dragon coming up in 50 seconds, but it's not Soul. So I feel like this game has slowed down. The early leads they've got just haven't amounted to anything.
This kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You know, they had a really good early, but the questions were, are they actually going to be able to execute? Because they did look lost in their first 2 games, and it feels like the communication and Yes, go.
This is just great for Bifrost because their win conditions are usually in the late game. Imagine this time around they go into the late game where they're not behind 5k, but maybe only behind 2k.
True.
That's where they find their footing. But no, jokes aside, a Go Rogue been phenomenal at coming back into this game. And as we were just highlighting, this is not solved. You don't have to fight for anything here. You can push Sinmivak on the top side. You can make him do what he just did down towards the bot side. And you just sit back, you scale, you wait for that time where you feel confident and you're going in.
Looks like Bifrost actually more interested in setting up something, a pick here in the mid lane. Sinmivak's actually teleporting in as the dragon spawned and Bifrost are already on it. Rabble gonna get relatively chunked out, knocked up CC, and he can't come in. The true shot was close, but it wasn't close enough, and Furuy able to dodge away and all the poke.
Interesting to see teleport in exchange there. I for sure thought with the positioning and the decision of sending Sinmivak top that you just wanted to go top side, but let's see Shikari.
And they are looking for Rabble. Good ultimate comes in. Shikari misses out. And that cannon barrage actually slowing anybody from getting even closer. Rabble
Didn't have flash, so if you actually got him there, that would have been great, but you didn't. So unfortunate circumstances.
I mean, I feel like, you know, a Go Rogue were doing a great job to mitigate Bifrost, but that play around the Dragon was a bit... If you're going to contest, you need to be there far earlier and not TPing your GP from top to mid just as it spawns. But regardless, it's not the soul. They still have a bit of time. We are 4 minutes away from that for Bifrost, but I feel like a Go Rogue are in a position where they feel a lot more confident to fight it now.
But that does alleviate the pressure because now for the remainder, for a while at least anyway, because Nite's TP is coming up a little bit earlier. Sinmivak and Nite no teleport available. Furuy and Shikari do have theirs. So they can move around the map, they can answer out in these side lanes and teleport in if necessary. So Bifrost have a slight pressure kind of advantage right now on the map over a Go Rogue.
The thing is, that will matter for now, but when Drake is up again, like the soul comes through, the teleports will be back. So it's kind of up to Bifrost to see what they can utilize this with. I feel like they get a second chance now for doing what we said earlier. Push in the mid lane, try and commit to a play on the top side, get some vision control. But even right now, when we look at the minimap, like, it's not very aggressive vision we're seeing. It's very passive. It's not very decisive. And I think it's just kind of reminiscent of the Bifrost we've seen this entire series. Teleport, though.
This is that advantage we're talking about. It's going to be Furuy coming in. Shikari going to get the knock up onto Sinmivak, and Sinmivak is just cooked.
Good use of the TP to punish, right? You know you have that advantage, but that won't necessarily find you an opportunity to get anything. They can look towards the Baron, but Sinmivak's going to be up in 38 seconds. They don't have control of the area. I'm not really sure they can approach easily.
Oh, Final Spark also coming in, healing up by the kitty cat from beansu though, so
the time's ticking away, and as soon as Sinmivak respawns, having the cannon barrage available in the Baron pit means you can't really look for that objective. So they got a pick. And what? It didn't mean anything. They're going to try and push up mid, but I feel like there's enough wave clear between the Ezreal and the Vel'Koz to easily handle this.
Yeah, but I feel like at least they got bot side turret here from the side of Shikari, so you still open that up a little bit, you still get some gold. It's for your tank though, it doesn't really mean that much in the grand scheme of things, but you see as well, they decide to call off the play, move Fury up towards the top side. He needs to sink in the wave, knows he needs to sink in the wave on the top side to make sure bot lane can come up and kind of capitalize on it. But they're off tempo now, and they won't be able to kind of commit to the play instead.
Constant pressure though from the side of a Go Rogue in the sense where they don't know if this Baron's going. We've seen multiple odds from FLICKR. I know it's on a short cooldown, but constantly firing it because they don't know if Bifrost are on that Baron. Haven't been able to do so, but it is, you know, it does show a little bit that a Go Rogue, they don't have that much pressure at the moment on the map, and they are a little bit scared that this Baron could just get snuck away because you've got the Azir, you've got the Jarvan to tank it for him. It can go down very quickly.
Problem is, there's a cannon barrage as well. If you're in the pit against the cannon barrage, it's so scary. Realistically, Bifrost are trying to make sure they have some vision over here so nothing untoward happens, but the focus is going to be this next dragon. It's a minute 30 away, and critically, we have all sums on both sides in terms of like combat summoners. Flash shot Nite is really pivotal. It makes Cboi's job so hard. You can't just Cataclysm and expect him to stay there, and he also has stopwatch as well.
Well, they are looking for Sinmivak. He's going to burn the flash. Rabble this time! Not going to get caught as he throws the ultimate out in time, and Shikari is just burst out instantly.
But honestly, it's not the worth talking to die. He still has teleport 40 seconds. He will be able to join the fight once again. But this is for sure all the map control over to a Go Rogue. They need to push Bifrost as far back as they can on the map.
Importantly, because they burnt so many ultimates, right? 4 down from a Go Rogue. And there's still the Cataclysm available for the side of Bifrost. We'll see the replay. Ultimately, Sinmivak just walking into the fog of war does end up burning his flash, but the focus target being Rabble doesn't work too well. The ultimate means no one can follow up, and then at this point of the game, Shikari can just be decimated by the carries on the side of a Go Rogue. You can see they are trying to maintain vision control here.
Maintain control of the area, but Bifrost are going to move in, claim their own ward. Shikari's back up and alive and should probably teleport in, realistically, just so you're there in time, but might be waiting a little bit longer for a good opportunity to find that perfect teleport, that perfect flank. It's coming in on the bot side. And
if GP gets a barrel here, it will do. He has so much damage right now.
Looking for it, not going to find it. Rabble gets chunked out. They're actually jumping in. Odie has to flash away. In comes Shikari. They find the knock-up. The barrels are coming down. Going to get interrupted as the ace in the hole lands onto Luck. The final spark comes down as well. Only hitting onto Nite. The Go Rogue are going to start up this dragon. As the reset from Fury's coming in, he wants to get his health back.
Yeah, he does have teleports, so he can join the fight again, but the question is, can he make it? OG also back to full HP, Cannon Barrage comes down.
He's teleporting into the pit, Cboi's there, he flagged, he drags forward, Fury's in there, there's a smite, it's taken away. There's the Cataclysm though, the knock-up onto multiple members, they've already found one kill. The shuffle is blocked, it's dodged out by Lucker, but he blast goes over the wall, he's going so low. Fury finds the double kill, taken down by the cat. It's a triple for Fury, and Bifrost finally find a team fight win.
An insane fight. The fact that the Yuumi is the one who has to come out the end and finish off the Azir, but critically, Bifrost could just head towards the Baron area. Don't think they're going to go for it, but they might try and just see if they can pick someone off. There's still a ward on the Baron, though. Rogue know this isn't going on.
And they live another day. Rabble stealing that Drake. They're securing it up for Go Rogue. Means it so that they can still fight it.
What? Critically, beansu actually gets caught a trap because of the flash here.
Oh, yeah.
So he's not on Rabble initially, which is why this Zhao doesn't do nearly as much as you'd hoped, right? And then they managed to back away and reposition.
But I also feel like the CC chain this time around was way better in the sense how they were able to wait out the ultimate from Rabble. And then when we come into the last fight here, seems a little bit decisive in the beginning. Are we securing down the Drake? Are we going on towards Rabble? And in the end, it's just going to be Rabble securing the Drake with Fury then finally leaving his mark in this series, finding a few kills.
Unique blast gun opportunity. I'll say
There's
from
a
Lucker.
penta there. I swear somewhere Lucker saw it.
I just love beansu coming out and just doing like the little Yuumi auto to finish off the Azir.
Gives him the pet on the way out, finds himself that kill and shuts down the rampage from Fury. But Fury now Death Cap, Luden's Echo, Shadow Flame, building towards what I assume is going to be the Void Staff as the next item. Level 17. It was a massive smite by Rabble to secure that dragon and deny soul to Bifrost right now. But even so, it is phenomenal damage coming out from this Azir.
I feel like at this point, we had such a massive lead for Bifrost in the early game. It's 1,000 in favor of them now. It's so irrelevant at this point. Really just comes down to execution of the team fights. And this is something that we've said Bifrost have excelled at throughout the tournament, managing to get first in their groups, down to coming back in the late game from these moments. But this series has been about the Ultra League representative.
Oh,
Odie, though.
Oh, good binding.
Good binding indeed. Odie, Gale Force on cooldown now as well. Mid lane pro gained by a Go Rogue, and that lets them walk back into the Baron pit if they want to. But look at the minimap. This time around, it's Bifrost who's 4 members in the mid lane. And
he's got Hullbreaker.
They have Shikari on the bot side instead, and yes, you're right. Fury, what?
Oh, Rabble's jumping in. Stopwatch comes out from Fury, but they got the life bond disintegration right. He's shut down. Cboi slams into Sinmivak, and now he's melted. A double kill picked up for Lucker. Yes, they have Shikari in the base, and that's going to force them away. Wave's been cleared out as well. But this might be a Baron.
But why? Why would you go in? You have Shikari on split push duty. Why are you looking for a fight there? At Go Rogue, they punish immediately.
Oh, if Nite gets back, he can defend. Oh, they don't spot him. He's going to be able to go clear out the wave, and the Baron's forfeit. Bifrost have everything in their favor. They just need to not look for the fight.
What a fumble. What a fumble by Bifrost.
No, I feel like fumble's a light word for this.
But a Go Rogue, once again, they're in the position where they just punish, and they've been so good at that this game. Every time that one mistake has come through from Bifrost, well, but Go Rogue, they've been there punishing immediately. And it just goes to show, you can't mess up against teams of this caliber. If you can't play the game correctly, you're just going to lose.
Oh, cancelling the recalls.
Wait, are they fishing for something? This seems risky.
It's very risky. And Shikari, no. If they check the bush.
Could have been disaster, but goes to live another day. And replay once again. Yeah, we just highlighted it. You have Shikari on split pushing duty. Fury, he was even looking for the banana shot there.
He dashed in, right? You just needed to sit back. You can see the flank from Cboi. This is so unnecessary. Just clear the wave. You have a Caitlyn. It's so easy to do.
And Cboi afterwards just dashing in too, just saying, well, I see my
solidarity.
Never in the lone.
I wonder if he was meant to go further with that Q. I think that was the full process.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can argue, and I'll agree, that maybe he shouldn't have just gone in at all, but it looked like that was also a bit of a mess up on his behalf, and that ended up really costing them maybe way worse than it was.
And now it's 30 seconds until that soul potentially once again for Bifrost. They missed out on the last one, but it was still a close fight. I feel like this late in the game, if you lose a fight by enough of a margin, especially a Go Rogue with that open bot inhib, it could just be the game.
Oh my word.
Lord.
That was a lot of damage.
We talk about poke from the side of Bifrost. Need to mention the poke of Fraka.
They're jumping in, they got the Cataclysm on. Rabble's the only one in the pit. The Cannon Barrage is just dissuading so hard. Sinmivak's in the base. He's got Baron, remember? He might be able to close this game out here. They're going in for the teleport to get back to safety. They're going to go for the interrupt.
Oh, no!
It's down! That is the end of the pigeon. And DuaLL will be next to fall. Sinmivak trying to find Odie. Odie has found him. The barrels are going to get used for the moment. And they're on to Shikari. Shikari can't do anything but watch the Rogue. They could go into the base, they could close this out. They might look for Sinmivak. They've got the ace in the hole. They're going to look to try and close out the clean, but Cboi is on his lonesome, and FLICKR is unstoppable in this game.
The resilience of a Go Rogue to hold on in this game for so long, waiting for the moments to punish and finding them at the right exact time they needed to, just before the soul. Now they might just look for the end.
It's going to have to be a miracle.
Seeds for both regions, and a Go Rogue looking to knock the last hope of the NLC out.
In 3-0 fashion as well. They're onto the tower. Odie is going to have to pull off a miracle, but the Lifebolt Disintegration Ray is doing everything necessary. He goes in for the stopwatch. DuaLL's already chunked out. Down goes the AD carry, and down goes the NLC. A Go Rogue 3-0.
I feel like at least in this game we got some fight out of Bifrost, but a Go Rogue were by and far the better team in this series.
That's the thing. If anything needed you to be convinced that a Go Rogue was the better team, it was Bifrost in this way, where they had a better draft, better early game to play for, but still a Go Rogue. They're the team that comes out on top. And Bifrost, their level of play just didn't exceed quarters. This is where they drop, and a Go Rogue, comfortably and deservedly so, move on to the semifinals to face LDLC.
They had all the tools here. I feel like that's the thing, is they had every tool they needed to close this game out. It was just the mid-game, the execution fumbled. It came to this sort of even gold level. And that's the thing, we've praised Bifrost so much over this tournament for the execution in late game. A Go Rogue look refined, they look clean, and they looked so good in that series.
They looked amazing. There's no beating around the bush there. 3-0, and unfortunately for the NLC, they went 0-6 in playoffs. It was a rough playoffs for us.
It could have been better for sure, but in the end, you know, Rogue, they still have a level of play they need to meet when they're facing LDLC, but this was a good building stepping stone for them. So I really hope that they are able to learn from this one, move on to the LDLC, and then give a final, semi-final where they will be more contested, but for sure will have the tools to try and take down the LFL seed.
Well, the Go Rogue keeps the Ultra Liga alive in the Amazon EU Masters and eliminate Bifrost and the NLC in a clean 3-0. After the break, we'll hear from the victorious Nite, so stay tuned. We'll see you in a moment.
Systems are overloading. We can't risk another game.
We need to take a break and regroup.
We're starting to lose our mind. Captain, we cannot go back to Elo Hell. Last time it took us months to get out of it.
Initiate break protocol.
Hurry up!
Yes! Yes! I did it! We did it! We did it!
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
wish I could bathe in the moonlight. Ooh, this is it now. Come out of the shadow. Make the walls fall. Memory is headed for disaster. Heart is beating so. I hear the words, I see the ghost of laughter in the afterglow. This is it now, come out of the shadow. This is it now, come out of the shadow.
Welcome back to the Amazon European Masters, where AGO Rogue clean sweep Bifrost and advanced to the semifinals against LDLC on Tuesday. We are joined by the victorious Nite. First of all, congratulations, and I do have to ask, Nite, is there a champion you can play? Hello? Can you hear us, Nite? Nite, I was wondering.
No sound though.
You have no Nite has no sound. Okay, so I'm gonna try. Is there a champion you cannot play at all? No, he still has no clue.
No sound.
Yeah.
I mean, this man has played so many different champions. Nite, if it's all okay, you could hear us now. Nite, the question I was asking, if there is a champion that you cannot play at all, because we've seen that many different champs being brought up into your champion ocean.
No, not really, to be honest. Whatever Bloomy brings up, I'm down to play, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Bloomigan has been giving you a lot of tools. You already said that in a different interview as well, right? You guys could come up with all these weird drafts, and then Bloom was like, yeah, that maybe could work. Jamada, I think you had a question about this Brogue feeling totally different than what we've seen in groups so far.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in groups you're a little more reserved. And in general, I think there was a lot of conversation around how strong, you know, NLC were, and then also in general, like the Ultra Leaguer as well, right, with the whole 4-seeding thing. What was your read in general on today's series? Because one, you looked much stronger than you did in groups, but two, to sort of dismantle Bifrost, who started to get a lot of hype coming out of the group as well. What was your like honest opinions on how you felt the series was going to go compared to actually what ended up playing out?
Well, to be honest, I already had a feeling, you know, that we're gonna trio them. They have been on like an upward spiral, right? But you also have to keep in mind that in groups we only had like I think 2 days of scrims with beansu in the lineup, so that was kind of bad. And now we got like some weeks of practice in, and bot lane got more used to each other. Mid jungle support is like way better as a trio. And yeah, I think we have really good individual players. So I was really confident that if we don't grief it, we play our game, and we're gonna trio them today.
I think you 100% are right that you have very good solo players, because Nite, you're one of them. I want to look over some highlight plays you had this series, because, man, you popped off. I remember the Victor game especially. I mean, let's start with game 1. You get up the Ahri as a first pick, and then you just get a lot of help from FLICKR and from beansu from the bot lane.
Yeah, honestly, that I'm just gonna say that one was like full on FLICKR, you know. That was not planned or anything. He just randomly came up with it and made it work. So kudos to him.
Wait, you didn't discuss this? Like, you discussed this on loading screen, or what happened with this?
Not even on loading screen, you know. Just we loaded into the game, felt like ganking mid level 1, maybe drop a few CS on bot, and yeah, it worked. So
I mean, this Victor play as well.
Know?
Yeah, I mean 100%. But I know your performance here has been pretty stellar to me as well, especially against Furuy. We were praising it as like insane KDA. 15 KDA come in, you destroyed his KDA.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, they kind of gave us like our comfort champs in a sense. I mean, I guess they have a lot of must bans, or like they felt like they have a lot of must bans before coming into the series. So we got champions like, for example, I really love Victor, right? It's been like one of my staple picks in Ultra Liga to split. And yeah, I got to free scale. I have a dog jungler, full clearing his jungler on cooldown. So I was kind of set up for success.
And then coming into game 3, I mean, see, if there is a game that felt close, I think game 3 was the one. Did you ever feel like you were out of control?
Not really, to be honest. I think, well, it was kind of their game to lose, right? But they lost it, so and we had a feeling they're gonna lose it. So yeah, it felt pretty more or less smooth sailing after we got 2 items. And yeah, we played a really greedy draft, right? And we kind of got away with it. Might not get away with that against LDLC, but I mean, we will see.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up LDLC now, because LDLC has been, you know, we kind of put them on the pedestal. Like, they're a very good team. We kind of see them taking it all home. But now, I mean, I'm kind of scared if I was LDLC. I've seen you play, especially with beansu now being incorporated, Dino.
Yeah, I think the incorporation of beansu is the thing that stands out for me the most. Bloomingen actually told me right before these games, when he called me out on Twitter a little bit, it's like, it's actually going really well. Incorporating him as a player, the experience he brings to the table, it gives us more weapons in draft, and it looks like if Rogue gets weapons in draft, like even Bifrost can't play their own style. So I think LDLC still needs to watch out for this roster, because it's only up from here. As you just said, Nite, it's just getting better and better. You're getting more and more time with beansu, and maybe you can scale up enough to take down LDLC.
I mean, how is it for him to be adapting from a top lane position to a support? I mean, it's a totally different ball game. How vocal is he in game?
Yeah, he's actually very vocal. Like, I was quite surprised, right? Because he said he never scrimed before in support. He just like came from a fresh role swap, and I mean, he's been playing for a while, and he's doing a really good job at, like, in a way, stabilizing the team. Because we have like players that get really excited, you know, like Rabble, me, FLICKR. I mean, Sinmi, we all of us like get kind of crazy at times, and he's kind of bringing a good balance to calm us down and make sure we keep focusing on macro like we've been doing also, like, all of the tournament, and yeah, just play to our strengths.
Yeah, because I think playing to our strengths is going to be very important. If we take a look at the bracket, your next opponent is going to be LDLC Olympique Lyonnais, which you already framed was like, you know, this is a very scary team in the first seed from the LFL. What are your thoughts? I mean, matching up especially against, well, we said, gave them the name Yaika, against Yike and Aika. They sound and seem like a very strong mid-jungle duo.
Yeah, I mean, they looked really good, right? But I also think Rabble and I are like quite a good duo. We've been playing together for so long, and I think, yeah, on an individual level, I think we are a bit better than them. And yeah,
what makes you say that?
Them, honestly.
What makes you say that then? What do you think you guys do better than the Yaika duo?
I think our hands just work better, you know.
This man is not afraid to throw punches here. I mean, do you agree with that, Jamada? Do you think Rabble and Nite have it to take them down?
I mean, after today's performance, I wouldn't be like put past it, to be honest with you. If they go into into the semis and decide to kind of just throw hands and win because they have the better hands,
yeah,
I wouldn't be too surprised. But saying that, LDLC did just put horror and tempt in the mud and kind of made it look fun. So we'll see. I'm always loving the confidence though.
I kind of need to ask though, because I mean, it's not only about the main jungle duo.
Yeah.
If you look at this LDLC team in general, Nite, where do you think the biggest strengths are, and also where are the weaknesses for this team?
Yeah, to be honest, like on a more serious note, you know, I think, in my opinion, LDC is like, not counting us, and of course, like the best team in EU Masters, and like to me, this is like already the final. You know, like I think whoever wins the series will honestly win the tournament. So, yeah, I think they're really strong. Like as a 5-man unit, they play really coordinated. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and they have really clean macro. But I also think, like I said, I don't feel like they necessarily skill check their opponents or like go for individual outplays, things like those. You know, they just try to play a really clean game and win their games that way. And I think in that sense, we can contest them and like on a good day, you know, do better than them, basically.
I think it was a very bold statement to say whoever takes the semifinals between LDLC and Igor Rogue is going to take it all home. I mean, tomorrow there's another quarterfinal on the line. Tomorrow we'll see the last hope of the Prime League, Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. They face off against the French powerhouse, the back-to-back champion, Carmine Corp. I mean, it kind of feels like you forgot about this team. They've won twice in a row.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't really forget about them. I just think LDLC is better.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
Yeah, they're obviously good, right? But yeah, I think LDLC is just up there, you know, and K-Corp is like up here. So yeah, I'm mostly excited to just play against LDLC, honestly.
Do we agree, Dinah? Because I know you've been saying like, okay, Carmine Corp, you know, the LFL split hasn't been all too great, but coming into playoffs, coming into play-ins, coming now out of groups, they've been getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the question is, where is the ceiling, right? Because they have big ticket names that rise to an occasion. We have seen that in the past with players on that roster. So where do we put the ceiling? I agree with Nite saying, like, if we look at LFL, how it played out, LDLC, stronger team, no doubt. But right now, K-Corp seems to be catching some steam like maybe Bifrost did in the playing stage. And how far can they go? Because apparently the best teams are in the bracket of Nite. And that means that you just get more and more practice on this stage. Come finals, you can be completely online.
Now, Nite, it's no secret, but you've played quite some time in the Prime League. Unicorns of Love haven't been showing a lot of signs of life over the last few EU Masters. Now coming into this quarterfinal, do you think there is a chance for them?
Yeah, to be honest, they surprised me quite a bit. I think the mid laner is super good, and I think if they beat K-Corp, it's gonna be, you know, Ruby having a pretty strong back.
Yeah.
Last words on that for you, Jamana. I mean, do you agree with them?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there is an avenue for use to actually come and take the series off of Carmine Corp, it would have to be off the back of Ruby. I agree entirely with that. It's gonna have to be like full-on back day tomorrow.
Well, we're going to have to see what's going to happen tomorrow. Now, I'm going to thank you for your time and your insights as well. That's all from us at the Amazon EU Masters for tonight, but tomorrow we'll be back with the third quarterfinal between K-Corp and Unicorns of Love. And you absolutely don't want to miss that. If I have to believe Ruby, if I have to believe the people on this couch, that's going to be a banger, or it's going to be a Cabochard one-man show.
It might be, but the thing is, don't forget, Reptile looks forward to beating Reckless, and I want to see that happen.
All right, Nite, we'll see you for on Tuesday when you face off against LDLC. Enjoy the wins, and for you, enjoy the night, and we'll see you, well, not this night, but your own night.
Tonight.
See you tomorrow.
Bye, Nite.